Hello friends, and welcome back to Sunshine and Serenity, and today we are going to be starting some of our fall crop seeds. So it's kind of hard to believe that we are already shifting gears and starting to think about the fall and winter garden, because I feel like the summer garden is just now getting into full swing. So it's kind of hard to kind of switch gears, right? But it is time to start thinking about a fall garden. And let me tell you, if you have not done a fall garden, it is my favorite garden to do every year because it is a lot easier to maintain. You don't have near the pest pressure or near the like weather phenomena that you do in spring and summer gardening. You're not having to garden in the heat of the day. It's much cooler in the fall. And so I definitely enjoy doing a fall garden. The flip side of that is a lot of your fall garden crops are crops that are best used for fresh eating, and there's not a lot that you can really preserve from the fall and winter garden. It's a lot just eating fresh from the crops that you grow, but nonetheless it is a great time of the year to garden. So if you find yourself I have a little lizard friend over here. He's just scampering along. Hey buddy, what you doing? Howdy. I have a couple little lizard garden friends, so I just saw him scamper out of the corner of my eye. I just want to make sure it was a lizard and not something else, right? Hazards of living in the South. But anywho, so if you haven't done a fall garden, I highly suggest you doing a fall garden. If you're finding yourself getting kind of frustrated with this summer garden, I know I've told you guys on several of my videos that I am dealing with pest pressure like crazy this year. In fact, I pulled up both of my yellow squash and zucchini plants today and yesterday because of squash vine borers. I feel like I haven't gotten any squash at all this summer. It's been really intense, and I've battled a lot of pests that I have not battled in last year's garden. So it's definitely been a challenge. So if you find yourself getting frustrated and wanting to kind of throw in the towel for the spring and summer gardening, definitely think about doing a fall garden, because like I said, it's less maintenance, it's much easier, it's a lot more laid back, in my opinion, than a spring and summer garden. So I'm just going to go over with you guys a couple of things that I'm starting right now indoors, and let you guys know what I'm going to be starting today, and then what kind of crops that I usually will either start early from seed or direct sow in the garden. So if you are new here to my channel, I am Christy Johnson. I am a gardener gardening in Central Arkansas, Zone 7. And I have been, this is my second year gardening. I really enjoy it. Other than, you know, you have the things that you deal with every year, right? In anything you go into that's a passion of yours, you're going to have struggles and difficulties, right? But I'm gardening in Central Arkansas, Zone 7, and I am gardening in the city. So we are in an urban area, and our dream one day, if you follow me, is to own land of our own and have a farm and our own animals and a large garden and all of that. But right now we are just kind of in a season of waiting period and trying to do things to create those stepping stones to get to that dream. So that's just a little backstory if you don't know me. If you'll take the moment to hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for me, it helps my channel just grow and get out to other people and get to be able to share my love of gardening with others who may be interested. So if you're ready, let's talk about the fall garden. Alright, so your fall garden. So a lot of your brassicas, so this would be like your broccolis, your cauliflowers, your Brussels sprouts, a lot of those need to be started indoors ahead of time, especially if you live in the South like me and you have a very hot summer. Fall and winter crops, your cole crops, your brassicas, your lettuces, things like that, they do not like heat, and they will bolt in the heat very quickly. So that's why if you live somewhere that gets really hot summers, you want to start all of your brassicas indoors. So like I said, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, your cabbages, things like that, you do want to start indoors. Now you can go online and you can Google. I use the Farmer's Almanac. You can put in your zip code and it will tell you your first expected frost date. Now this is just a little bit of an estimate, so I do usually try to give or take a couple of weeks on that. Usually I kind of calculate a couple weeks earlier than that, only to account for if we get just an early frost or you know, anything like that. So that will give you an estimate first frost date for your area. Based on that, it will also tell you, it'll give you like a little calendar on that website that will tell you when the dates you need to start certain crops by, if you need to start them indoors, or when to plant them outdoors. So that is one of the things that I use. I also have one of the Clyde's Garden Planner sliders, and those are very helpful as well. It has two different sides. You can do the fall side or the spring and summer side. So that's also very helpful. So just find some resources like that to kind of help you figure out when you need to start things. Now, as far as starting things from seed versus direct sow, now I start from seed all of my broccoli, my cauliflower, my Brussels sprouts. If we ate cabbage, I would start those from seed as well, but we don't eat cabbage in our family, so I don't start those. But those need to be started from seed as well ahead of time. And you want to start them and put them under some grow lights, or if you have like a windowsill that gets quite a bit of daylight and sun, you want to put them near a window like that. I have an indoor grow light set up with a metal shelf and some hanging grow lights that I use for all of my seed starting. And so these are your brassicas, are the main things that you do want to start from seed ahead of time. You can start other things from seed, like last year I started my kohlrabi, my lettuces. I did all those from seed indoors. This year, however, I am going to direct seed all of that. So I'm going to direct seed my lettuces, my spinaches, my kales, my kohlrabi, like my rutabagas, turnips, my root vegetables, things of that nature. I'm going to start all of that direct sow in the garden from seed on the different dates that I need to start those on. So today we're just going to be starting the brassicas. So let me show you what I'm going to be starting. So for my broccoli, I'm doing the Calabrese broccoli, as well as the Waltham 29 broccoli. Now the Waltham 29 takes 92 days. The Calabrese takes 55 days. Now in the fall time, you do want to add a little bit of time to that, because as you go into the fall, our days are getting shorter, right? So you want to add a little bit of time onto how many days it takes to maturity, to be able to kind of to make up for that, you know, lack of lighting, so we don't get as much sun and light during the day. A couple other things is a lot of these fall crops are actually frost tolerant, or in some cases frost hardy, and some of them actually taste sweeter going into a frost. So things like your kale, your Brussels sprouts, your broccolis, your cauliflowers, your carrots, all those will taste sweeter after they have had a little bit of light frost. You can also extend your season by using a cold frame or something to kind of protect your frost, your crops that aren't as frost hardy. You can kind of protect those with a cold frame or something like hoop house, or anything like that you can use to kind of extend your season. Last year we got a crazy unexpected, or should I say this year, like January, February, we got unprecedented temperatures here in Arkansas, along with 18 inches of snow. My kale survived, my sage survived, my thyme plant survived, as well as like my bok choys and things like that. And my carrots, they all survived that snow and that crazy temperatures. So a lot of these are very frost hardy or frost tolerant, and especially in our area where we don't normally get like frigid temperatures, they will pretty much, I can grow them throughout the winter, which is really nice. So that just kind of depends on your area. If you live somewhere that gets a lot of snow and very harsh temperatures, you obviously may not be able to do that without some sort of hoop house, greenhouse, cold frame, something like that to extend the life of those plants. But a lot of them will take some pretty crazy temperatures. So those are the two that I'm going to do for broccoli. I'm also starting some Long Island Brussels sprouts. Now, I did not start these from seed last year. I actually bought Brussels sprout plants because by the time I started my seeds and all of that, I didn't have seeds for the Brussels sprouts, so I just had to buy plants. And I actually think I got them planted a little bit late, so they didn't really do much, and I didn't get anything from them. But this year, I am going to be starting those from seed and just kind of see how they do. I am the only one that eats the Brussels sprouts in the house, but I really enjoy them. So, And then the last thing I'm going to be starting is cauliflower. Now I'm going to be starting some early snowball cauliflower. And I am also going to be starting some purple of Sicily cauliflower. Now this is a really pretty cauliflower. It gets the purpling on it, and it's just beautiful to look at in the garden. And it tastes really good. And last year, this is one of the plants that actually did really well in the really frigid temperatures and snow and things here. So, which is, like I said, unusual for our area for sure. Alright, so this is what I am using this year to start my seeds. Now these I got because during the springtime I went to a plant sale and I had to buy several started plants because a lot of my tomato plants and my pepper plants just didn't make it this year. It just was a crazy year with you know, the temperatures, and we had like a pipe that burst in our house, and so we were out of our house for like a week to 2 weeks, and so we had a lot of stuff that happened last year, or should I say this year in the springtime, so I had to go and buy some plants, which is okay because I was able to support some local farmers that had some of the same varieties that I was growing, which was a really great way. So if you're not able to start your own plants, definitely find you a local plant sale, local farmers market, somewhere that you can support local growers, and that way you know that your money is going to your community and not just a local, you know, big box store. But so these were some of the containers that those plants came in this year. So I saved these, and that's what I'm going to be starting all of my seeds in. I am using a really good potting mix. Now, I started my spring starts a little different this year. So last year I did my fall starts in a potting mix, and they did really well. This year for my spring starts, I started them in a seed starting mix that I made out of perlite, vermiculite, and some cocoa coir. And while the seeds did germinate well, that when you have your own seed starting mix, it doesn't contain any of the nutrients needed to sustain those seedlings. And I think that was a major component of why my seedlings did not do well, because by the time they were big enough for me to transplant, they just were in shock from not getting the nutrients that they needed. So I've decided that I'm just going to go ahead and start my fall and spring starts in the potting mix from now on, because it does have nutrients in it that it already needs, and I can keep them in this until I have to plant them out, which kind of reduces the risk of transplant shock or stunted growth from moving your seedlings from one to the other. So that was just a personal decision that I made to do. So I did get a good potting mix. As you can see, it's nice and loose. It's a really good mix. This is what I use in all of my grow bags, all of my pots. I used it to start my seeds last fall. It did really well, and so that's just what I am going to go with this year as well. So really good. So you just need your pots and your potting mix. Now these are large enough that I will not up pot my plants until they go out into the garden. However, if you do start them in larger like 6-cell trays or something like that, you will need to up pot them so that their roots don't get root bound in the small area that they have. So you will have to move them to a bigger pot before they go out, depending on how much time you have in between starting your seedlings and moving them out. So yeah, that's what I'm going to need, and then we're just going to get some of these started. I also have some of these plant marker tags. Now you don't have to use these. You can use tape on the side of your pots. You can actually, you can use anything like that, masking tape or anything. These just make it a little easier because I do plant several different varieties of, say, broccoli, or several different varieties of cauliflower. So this just makes it really easy to keep track of it. And then I use this permanent garden marker. I got it on Amazon. I'll link both of these in my description box below. So if you're interested in those, you can go grab some of these. But this is a permanent garden marker. It came in a pack of 2, and these are really great. I have not found these to wash off. They hold up really well to rain and being in the soil for an extended period of time. So I really, really like these. And then the only other thing that I use, which is heavy because I've got all these in, is I use these trays. Now these are a solid bottom tray, so they don't have the holes in them. And what I do is I bottom water all of my seedlings. So that just keeps it from getting any disease on the leaves or anything like that. So I do bottom water. So these pots will sit in this tray, and I'll just water it in the bottom, and then once that water is gone, I will just water it some more once I feel like that the soil needs it, and that allows the plant to continue to take up water from the bottom as it needs it for the root system. And that also allows the roots to grow deeper to get towards where the water is in the bottom, versus when you just strictly water on the top and you don't necessarily get the whole pot or the whole soil wet. Those roots feel like that, well, I've got all the nutrients and all the water that I need right here, so there's really no sense in me having to grow any, down deep or anything like that. And so bottom watering just kind of helps your plant develop a stronger root system, in my opinion. So that's why, one of the reasons why I bottom water, along with just diseases that can get on your plant and things like that when you get splashback from the soil. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be starting these seeds, and then I'm going to get them inside on my grow rack under grow lights, and then I'm going to do a couple more tests out in the garden. We do have some storms that are supposed to come tonight, rain, heavy winds, things like that. So I'm going to get out there. I'm going to harvest some peppers. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to replant my squash and zucchini seeds, and hopefully I will get a handle on the vine borers. I do have some BT coming on Tuesday that I'm going to spray on the plants. It's an organic treatment that you can use for armyworms, caterpillars. It works for the squash vine borer eggs, and so I'm going to try that, see if I can get that under control, because I do garden organically. So I want to try to ensure that I have the beneficial insects that I want in my garden, and not, use something that's going to harm them or harm my pollinators or anything like that. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing tonight while it's nice and cool in the evening. That's when you have to work. Early in the morning, or in the evening, because it gets super hot here. It's been like in the triple digits. It's been kind of hot. So you have to kind of work when you can, and do a little at a time and not do it in the heat of the day. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to start all of these, and then I'm going to get to a couple more garden tasks before it gets dark. But as always, thanks you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Just helps my channel grow. It helps me get out there to more gardeners and people that want to see my content. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. And until I see you guys next time, friends. Bye.